Well, I think all of you know who I am, and a lot of you probably associate me as being Carl's wife. But I would like to share with you a little bit of my life so you can get to know me even better and just know a little bit of extra stuff about me. I'll start with how I grew up. I grew up in a Christian home. Both of my parents were Christians. My mom explained to me one day about how I could be forgiven of my sins and how Jesus loved me so much that he died on the cross for me. And that day I was so excited and I accepted Christ as my Savior. I remember running downstairs and telling my brothers what I had done, and the whole family was very excited for me. My parents were very involved in church and everything Christian outside of church we were involved with. So I grew up going to Vacation Bible School. I grew up going to Christian camps and going to church every Sunday. So I was immersed in Christian culture, and I really grew a lot when I was young, and I really started to learn who Jesus was and started to learn about God, and I began to have a really close relationship with him. As I grew and started to go into high school, things didn't seem as simple as they used to. I started to look around and see others around me, and noticing that they still look good, but they weren't as sold out for Christ. And I kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps. My brothers said that they were Christians, but they started to do some things that I knew were not as accepted in the Christian culture, but they still seemed to have a pretty good relationship with God. So I decided that maybe I would follow in their footsteps a little bit more than maybe I should. I definitely liked going to church and being accepted, and I really enjoyed having that feeling of people praising me for how good I was. And so in high school I started to just do good things and to appear good to other people instead of being sold out for Christ. I stopped doing my devotions like I should. I stopped praying to God, and I just wanted to look good to other people instead of having a real relationship with God. And I mean, I still cared about God, and I thought he was awesome, but I just didn't have him as my top priority. And that all changed. My perspective totally changed over a period of time during my senior year. And it all started on a winter day when my friends came to my house to go snow tubing, and we made a ramp, and we were having an awesome time. But it ended when I flew off of the ramp and off of the tube and landed right on my back, and I felt excruciating pain. But before I felt the pain, my legs totally went numb for a few seconds, and it was so scary. My parents drove in and found me in the snow. They got me into the house, and we called the ambulance, and I had to go to the hospital. And I was praying and hoping that nothing was wrong, but when we got to the hospital we found out that I had broken one of my vertebrae, and I needed to go to another hospital where there was a brain and spinal specialist. So we had to take a ride in another ambulance, and it was very painful, and I was so afraid of having to have surgery or the possibility of maybe not being able to walk in the future. I just didn't know what this meant to have a broken vertebrae. The only thing that helped during the ride was I got to hold the EMT's hand, and he was very cute. And I'm sure Carl's shaking his head as he is watching this, but I have to admit that it did help take my mind off of it just a little bit. but it was very scary, and when I got to the other hospital, I was relieved to find out that I did not have to have surgery, and it was a blessing to me. I got to go home and wear a brace. After about 3 weeks recovery, I was allowed to go back to school and work, but that didn't last for very long. I ended up back in the hospital again, and during that time I had what they considered to be a spinal fluid leak, and I had such bad headaches that I thought that I was just going to die. It hurt so bad, and I had to be in the hospital for quite a while on pain medication. And during that time, a lot of bad things started to happen, even small things like my pet dog died and my pet fish died. My brother was one of my very good friends, and he was going off to college, and so a lot of the things that I found comfort in and joy in, and my health was now even gone, and I just was feeling very devastated, and I was very upset. I felt like I was such a good person that I didn't deserve any of this to happen to me, and the one night I just broke down in tears and asked God, why is this happening? Why are you allowing this to happen to me? Because I knew that God could have controlled it all, and that He could have made it so I didn't have to go through any of it. And over the weeks, God healed both my physical being and my spiritual being. He helped me to see that I should not just try to be a good person, that I should care about Him, and He is the only reason that I was able to get through that hard time. If I didn't have Him to depend on, if I did not have my relationship with Him, I would not have been able to make it through that time. It was such a hard time in my life, and it changed my life. And now, instead of just wanting to be a good person and to be praised by people and to be seen as, a good Christian, I just want to love God, I want to live for Him, and I want my life to be sold out for Him.